the State Constitution of Bosnia and Herzegovina and the entity constitutions of the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina and the Republika Srpska, provide for freedom of religion, and the government generally respects this right in ethnically integrated areas or in areas where government officials are of the majority religion. The state-level law on religious freedom also provides comprehensive rights to religious communities. However, local authorities sometimes restricted the right to worship of adherents of religious groups in areas where such persons are in the minority. 43% of Herzegovinian and Bosnian Muslims are non-denominational Muslims. Government protection of religious freedom declined, especially during the campaign period prior to the October 2006 national elections, due to selective legal enforcement and the indifference of some government officials. At the end of the period covered by this report, the government was implementing the state law on religious freedom to protect the rights of religious communities and create a government registry, allowing them to establish legal status. Societal abuses and discrimination based on religious belief and practice persisted. Religious intolerance directly reflected ethnic intolerance because of the virtually indistinguishable identification of ethnicity with religious background. Discrimination against religious minorities occurred in nearly all parts of the country. In some communities, local religious leaders and politicians contributed to intolerance and an increase in nationalism through public statements and sermons. A number of illegally constructed religious objects continued to cause ethnic, religious tension and conflict in various communities. Religious symbols were often misused for political purposes. In a 2009 Gallup poll, 77% of respondents in Bosnia and Herzegovina answered yes as to the question, "Is religion an important part of your daily life?" while 21% responded negatively. Religious demography. In 1800, 40% of Bosnians were Orthodox and nearly half were Muslim. Islam peaked in 1600 when 3/4 of Bosnians followed it. Bosniaks are generally associated with Islam, Bosnian Croats with the Roman Catholic Church, and Bosnian Serbs with the Serb Orthodox Church. Today, Muslims constitute 51% of the population, Christians 46%, and other groups 3%. The Jewish community has approximately 1,000 believers and maintains a historic place in society by virtue of centuries of coexistence with other religious communities and its active role in mediating among those communities. The rate of religious observance is relatively low among the traditional religious groups. However, some areas of significantly greater observance exist, such as among Catholic Croats in the Herzegovina region and among Bosnian Muslims in central Bosnia. For many Bosnian Muslims, religion often serves as a community or ethnic identifier, and religious practice is confined to occasional visits to the mosque. Significant rites of passage such as birth, marriage, and death. Nevertheless, religious leaders from the Muslim, Catholic, and Orthodox communities claimed that all forms of observance were increasing among young persons as an expression of increased identification with their ethnic heritage, in large part due to the national religious revival that occurred as a result of the 1992–95 Bosnian War. Younger believers who grew up in the post-communist period also have more freedom to practice the religion and more access to religious education. Leaders from the three largest religious communities observed that they enjoyed greater support from the believers in rural areas of Bosnia than For those in urban centers such as Sarajevo or Banja Luka, ethnic cleansing during the 1992–95 war caused internal migration and refugee flows, which segregated the population into separate ethno-religious areas. Increased levels of returns, which peaked in 2002, continued to slow significantly, leaving the majority of Serb Orthodox adherents living in the RS and the majority of Muslims and Catholics in the Federation. Within the Federation, distinct Muslim and Catholic majority areas remain. However, returns of Serb Orthodox adherents and Muslims in recent years to the pre-war homes in western Bosnia and Muslims to the pre-war homes in eastern Bosnia have shifted the ethno-religious composition in both areas. For example, the pre-war population of the eastern RS town of Bratunac was 64% Bosniak. In 1995 the population was almost completely Serb. In 2007, after the return of 6,500 Bosniaks, the population was 38% Bosniak. Similarly, in Prijedor municipality in the RS, approximately half of the pre-war Bosniak population of 49,500 returned, partially reversing the effects of ethnic cleansing. Christians, on the other hand, seem to rarely move back to their old towns. The number of Catholics returning to central Bosnia and the RS, as well as of Serbs returning to the Federation, was negligible. The Catholic community maintains its bishops' conference as an overarching organizational and regional structure, with bishops residing in Mostar, Banja Luka, and Sarajevo. The Franciscan order maintains its strongest presence in central Bosnia near Sarajevo in Herzegovina. The Serb Orthodox Church maintains its greatest influence in the RS, with the most influential bishops residing in Banja Luka, Trebinje, Bijeljina. The Jewish community, like most other small religious groups in Bosnia, including Protestants, has its strongest membership in Sarajevo. There are several small Christian denominations throughout the country. In late 2011, a Rodnova association named Sverozi Krug was established in the nation as a part of the Pan-Slavic Praskazorya movement. Muslims. There are 8 muftis located in major municipalities: Sarajevo, Bihać, Travnik, Tuzla, Gorazda, Zenica, Mostar, and Banja Luka. The more conservative Islamic communities in Bosnia are located in towns such as Travnik, Bosnia, Zavidovići, Tazanj, Maglash, Bugino, and Zenica. 38% of Herzegovinian and Bosnian Muslims describe themselves as Sunni Muslims, while 54% describe themselves as non-denominational Muslims. However, 7% of Muslims either refused to answer which Muslim branch they belonged to, said they belonged to no Muslim branch, or said they did not know.